Canadians, this summer has felt like the first one so far where things started to return back to normal, and in fact, we're not even into summer yet. We're still a couple of days away. The lifting of restrictions due to the COVID-19 pandemic has made things feel a little more normal, but in Point Roberts, the return to normal is taking, well, a lot longer.
We used to be open from 7 to 10 or 7 to 11 every day, and now we're only open from 9 to 7. That's been the biggest challenge is, there's just not enough people, able-bodied people wanting and willing to work. In Point Roberts, we have a few that come over from mainland U.S., but there's not a lot that are willing to do the 4 border crossings every day. So, like my deli, because of all the restaurants closing, my deli is really busy now, especially at lunch. We can't be open for dinner because I don't have enough people. Say there's a mom with a new baby and it's 8 o'clock at night and she needs Tylenol. There's nowhere on the point for her to go get that because I'm closed.
So that's Allie Hayton, owner of the International Marketplace. That's the only grocery store in Point Roberts. And joining us now with more is Brian Calder, president of the Point Roberts Chamber of Commerce. Now, he recently wrote an open letter to U.S. President Joe Biden and Washington lawmakers asking for help. He wants Canadian workers to be allowed to work in Point Roberts businesses. And he's on the line with us this morning. Good morning to you, Brian.
Morning to you.
First off, your reaction when you hear what we just heard from Allie Hayton there?
Well, it's devastating here. I mean, literally, our border is down, the volume is down from 2018-19 pre-COVID. We're 50% of where we should be, which is just devastating to businesses particularly, but even to the general public. The lockdown changed people's habits as well, so not as many people are coming. The default position for them used to be to come to Point Roberts for the summer, and that's all changed. The marina's half full. Rather than 900 vessels, there's 450, and it's like an individual taking half their salary from now on. It's painful. They expect the same level of service. Right?
And tell us a little more about the letter that you wrote to President Biden.
Right. I noticed he tweeted out a note saying about a week ago, our economic recovery isn't leaving anyone behind. And I voted for Joe Biden, and I'll do it again. I support him. But he doesn't usually make errors or misstatements. This statement is not true at all. Our economic recovery did not happen, period. And it is not scheduled to happen because no one is paying any attention whatsoever to Point Roberts. They say and agree, including the Prime Minister of Canada, Trudeau, said, Point Roberts is unique. We are an exclave. We are unique in North America. Well, where's the unique solution?
Right.
Zero. Nothing.
And so tell me about trying to get help. What has changed here? Because Canadians used to be able to go down to Point Roberts to work. Is that right?
You're right. You're absolutely right. And when 9/11 happened years ago, when Homeland Security was formed to be a super body of control and military mindset at the border. And they just arbitrarily lifted it, removed it. And at the time, no one challenged it because we had enough employees here. Housing was rental housing, which there is not now. It was affordable, which is not now. And so there were people here to fill those service industry, let's call them service industry positions. Once that lockdown happened and no one challenged it, it's still in place. Now the terms have changed dramatically, and that program worked for 20 years. There was no problems, it was seamless, it was straightforward, and relatively easy. And we need it back again desperately, because as Ali pointed out from the marketplace, people aren't coming from Blaine, Bellingham, where they're fully employed anyhow, to come to Point Roberts with 2 international borders to get a job that pays $15 to $20 an hour.
Right.
They just cannot do it.
And so what are the solutions then? I mean, what do you see as the solution? Obviously, changing things back to the way they were pre-9/11.
That would be a big factor, but that gets us about halfway there. The other border restrictions for Point Roberts are over the top. I get it for the Mexican border and the drug cartels and all that kind of activity infecting fruit and vegetable and cow herds with mad cow and so forth. We're divorced from the mainland. There isn't a cow on Point Roberts. Why are you checking the border for mad cow disease? There isn't a chicken hatchery in Point Roberts, and there never will be. Why are you checking for eggs and chickens? It's just beyond the pale as far as Point Roberts. We need specific and special attention. When Governor Inslee came here a year and a half ago, he wrote to Biden immediately. He was here 2 hours, and he got it. Once you're on the ground, Mia Yen, the Consul General of Canada, stationed in Seattle, Mia Yen, she got here a year ago and immediately headed for Ottawa and talked to the Prime Minister, and they lifted the Arrive-Can restriction on Canadians to go back into Canada just for Point Roberts. They got it. What we need is people on the ground here to understand the situation, and it's so obvious and simple. That's what frustrates me is, in this day and age, come on, folks.
Now tell me about the population of Point Roberts right now. I'm looking at a 2020 census here where it says about 1,200 people live there. How has the population been affected by all of this?
It's dropped. Now it isn't a census, so we haven't gone door to door.
Right.
But it's our feeling is, certainly my feeling is, it's about 850. We lost a lot of, as we mentioned earlier, the service industry people went back to what we call the other side, 24 miles through Canada, BC, back into Ferndale, Linden, Mount Vernon, and they live there now, and they're not coming back.
Yeah.
So we've dropped 25% and not growing, and we have no rental accommodation. Well, let me put it another way. What rental accommodation we do have is gone Airbnb because it's a lot more profitable.
Right.
It's $100 a night, $100 a night instead of $800 a month. So that means there's no place for the people to stay, so they'd have to commute. And as Ali said before, they aren't commuting from Blaine to sit in the border line up for an hour each way at the Peace Arch, and to get here and to go home, they'd be losing money.
Do you think, Brian, that this isn't getting the attention you think it ought to get because you've got a population of, about 800 or 900 people down there right now, and it's just not on anybody's radar because it's, they might see it as insignificant?
Unfortunately, I think you've hit the nail on the head, and that's also frustrating because when they run for election, they say, we're here to help you, that we're going to be defined by how we treat our most vulnerable and our weakest. Well, we're in that category now, so where's the help? And they're turning a blind eye to it. We're the orphan of the United States of America.
Brian, really good to hear you. Thank you so much for the time, and we'll continue to look at this story. We appreciate it.
We appreciate you very much, and thank you for the support.
All right, you take care. Bye-bye now.